Welcome to my channel. My name is Rashida Silvertree. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So this fits under the rise, this message fits under the rise of the Matriarch. How transactional relationships can be deeply spiritual or spiritually deadly. I'll repeat that one more time. How transactional relationships can be deeply spiritual or spiritually deadly. Okay? So, what is transactional? What is a transactional relationship? Let's break it down energetically. Let's alchemize it, if you will. So, everything is energy. Everything is energy. All things. Okay? Source is all, the all. All that is dark, all that is light, that is all, that is one. There is no degree of separation. Separation is the illusion. Okay? Now we live in this paradigm and we live in a universe where there are universal laws or there are universal rules that we follow and we govern and we build our reality on. And one is the law of receiving and then one is the law of giving. And so it's transactional. What you give, what you put out, you receive. What you receive, you put out. And most of us throughout our life, through our relationship with life, we learn that, through the different cycles and seasons within our lifetime, our lifeline, when the best time to give to ourselves and to others. When's the best time to receive, and so with that, everything is transactional. I was hanging out with a new friend of mine and we are talking about relationships and he was saying, he's very much younger than I am. Very, very much younger. Like he's in college, young. But very bright and very insightful and just intuitive. But we got on the discussion on the cultural and societal changes in the dating scene per se, and so it's very transactional. He was saying, "Oh, all of it's just what a person can do for you and what you can do for the person," and that's very true. That's very true. Most of us, and for example, in a romantic, loving relationship, most of us when we feel really good with ourselves and our cup is full and our cup is we want to give, right? We want to give to the person that we love because we're just so full of love for ourselves, our lives. We're good, and when we're good, we want to give, and we want to give, and we want to give, and we want to give and give and give more and more. We almost put ourselves in a pedestal of like, how much can I give because I have so much? How much can I give this other person without expecting anything in return? Dun dun dun. Uh-oh. Yeah. And that's when the hard lessons come through. That's when you enter into karmic relationships, because here you are, you're thinking you're doing everything right by giving and holding no expectations. I don't want anything back. I just want to give because giving is right. Giving is love. Giving is unconditional, or loving is unconditional, and just no conditions. Just I want to give because I have it. Not everything that you give should be given. Not everything you can give should be given. Transactional relationships can be deeply spiritual when they're balanced. Okay? When a relationship, a connection you have, either platonic or romantic, when it's balanced, it's so beautiful. You start to unlock the spirit of all that is within you. and like the foundation is healthy and strong, and the person is giving you everything that you're giving, and it's just so beautiful, and it's just beautiful exchange. And sometimes, you find yourself giving 60% and the other person's giving 40%, but it evens itself out because you both have this understanding of the transaction, that there is this thing, this giving and taking continuously. That's called being in flow. Not everyone operates like that, though, unfortunately. Not everyone operates in flow. There are a lot of us out there that are very stagnant in certain belief systems and in certain paradigms. And sometimes we're conscious of our limitations, and we go ahead and get in relationships that we have no business getting into. Or we're very unconscious of our own limitations, and that doesn't show up until you're in a very love, until you begin to receive a lot of love, a lot of giving from that other person, but then come to find out you're not willing to give what they're giving you. That's rough. That's when it switches from deeply spiritual connection transaction to spiritually deadly. It can kill the spirit. The soul is infinite and cannot be killed. Just to let you know. Soul and spirit are different. Your spirit is the essence that keeps that keeps your soul and your human body connected. It is like this thread. Okay? It's like this channel. It's like this cord. Your spiritual essence is so super important. I'll give a perfect example of what spiritual essence is. So I'm a huge fan of Whitney Houston. I've always been. I watched The Bodyguard ever since I was like 7 years old. I watched it several times. I was obsessed with her voice because she sang with her chest. You have chest voice, head voice, and then whistle register for singers. Okay, for women, female singers. She and some female singers, opera singers are they're trained to sing from chest, head, and whistle register. But it depends on the genre that you're singing in. Most singers sing with their chest and their head, and then you have singers like Mariah Carey she can do the whole thing. All right, but her whistle register is very, very, very powerful. But her chest is, Whitney Houston had a powerful chest voice. Okay, you didn't really hear her all the way up here in the whistle register. Follow me, I'm getting there. With the chest voice, and so she sang with her heart, right? Because your chest is right here. So she sang the frequency she came out. She was mezzo soprano, and so she would sing out from her chest, and I just loved her voice. I just loved her voice. Okay, I still love it. Beautiful. Okay, just the right amount of power and depth and richness in her sound. It wasn't too high or too low. It was just perfect. Anyway, obviously we all know about her career, okay, at the very beginning in like the 80s, okay, just clear as a bell, clear as a whistle. You could feel her spiritual essence. There's thousands, millions of beautiful singers, but there's some singers that their essence is so unique, it moves us. It does something to the listener. And that's what her voice did. It did something to the listener. The essence, her essence, she brought her essence, was so pure when she sang. We felt her soul. When the spiritual essence, that channel is open, the soul can come through. When the spiritual essence is blocked, the soul is infinite, okay, but the soul can pop in and out all the time, all right? It's infinite. It's like, I'm gonna be over here. You do this human thing over there. I'm gonna go do my soul stuff over there. But it doesn't. It's infinite. It's omnipresent. The soul, okay. But the spiritual essence, when that channel is open, ooh, that's why. That's why actors and athletes and singers and entertainers are so magnetic, okay? Because they generate a certain type of frequency when that channel is clear. Now, perfect example again, Whitney Houston with the drugs, okay? Now, in the 90s, people were, People were like, I mean, we were like, something going on. In the early 90s, not so much, but late 90s, everyone's like, ooh, something's different. Something's different. Early 2000s, it was her channel wasn't pure anymore. Her channel wasn't pure anymore. There was age, deterioration, abuse, psychological stuff probably going on, the stress of, menopause, all this crap, really, all the human crap. And so her channel, her spiritual essence wasn't open anymore. And her soul, that soul power that channeled through that spiritual channel, that the essence part wasn't very strong. It was still there because the soul is the soul. It's infinite. But the spiritual essence was getting weak. Very, 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 very weak. And so her performances were weaker and weaker and weaker until she left. Her human crap overwhelmed her and she dipped out. Okay? That is kind of what can happen in a transactional relationship. When you're giving so much of your spiritual essence. Because we all come into this life with I believe, with a certain amount. And it's very powerful. Very powerful. That's why we have these phones and they're digitizing everything because we're electromagnetic beings. So they're actually using us as a battery. It's fucked up, I know. But excuse my French. But that's why they're making it more and more and more electrical, technical, digital, because we generate a very powerful force. And this is from the homeless dude on the street, to a whole celebrity who's super well known, to someone who's an unknown. We all come into this world with a very potent power source, but it's a specific amount. Some have more than others, but we all come with the force. And so when you're overgiving in a relationship, it can start to kill the spirit. It begins to weaken that channel. It begins to weaken that conduit. And your soul will then sometimes will go into overdrive. Like your soul's like, it's like it's trying to fit itself into a very broken tube, if you will. And it starts to get a little, muddy because the channel's broken or the channel's weakened. And the whatever you're doing you don't smile as much anymore. You don't you're not as creative as much as you used to be, or you don't have a lot of motivation because your soul is like, I'm trying, but the spirit is broken. That's what it means when you hear the phrase broken spirit, or that person's spirit was broken after so and so died, or that person's spirit's broken after the business failed, or that person's spirit broken because this they went to war and came back messed up or something. And so we have to be very careful with transactional relationships, and this is what I mean, paying attention with what you're offering and what the other person is offering. We don't want to say that you're expecting something in return. No one wants to say that in a loving relationship, but it is an expectation. There are conditions. You can really end up very spiritually damaged if you're giving everything you got and you're not getting anything in return. Because once you make that the spiritual channel, when you make a romantic bond with someone, that connection then is tied to that other person. And it can that tie, that soul tie, if you will, can last quite some time even after the relationship's broken. And that's why you really have to be very, very, very careful with transactional relationships. And that's why you should have an emphasis on using spirituality as a compass. Okay? Like really using the higher power as a compass in your romantic relationships, because we can't control what life is bringing us most of the time. It can be very challenging, where you'll have a person who's the spouse is giving 20% because that's all they can give. And you have to kind of figure out, how am I going to sustain this? I'm giving 80%, you know? And you have to be clear on what you're willing to offer another. And sometimes you won't know until you go through it. So that's where I'm going to leave you with that. Please check my other messages on my channel. And may this message find you well and whole. Take care.